Hello everybody, Lou Pickney with you here. The DKDB curated database, 2026 NFL mock draft. Got a lot to talk to you about here on today's show. The Senior Bowl's in the rearview mirror. Up next, the Combine. Coming up near the end of the month in Indianapolis, Indiana. I want to talk first of all, though, about my hometown Tennessee Titans. As it is right now here on February 6th, the Titans have the number 4 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. That's my most recent mock draft. I've got the Tennessee Titans selecting Texas Tech edge rusher David Bailey. Lou, Titans have a few different needs. Why Bailey? Well, let's talk about who the Titans have as their new head coach. This man right here, Robert Saleh. Coach Saleh is no nonsense. He is intense, and he is very much defensive minded, which I find interesting relative to the Titans in that first pick they have in the first round, that number 4 overall pick. Titans could go with an offensive tackle. I've heard that mentioned. We'll have more on that later on in the show. Wide receiver, Cam Ward needs somebody to throw the ball to. But you know, with Coach Saleh in here, he knows he needs to get somebody up front that can bring some pressure. Jeffrey Simmons is a phenomenal force as an interior pass rusher, defensive tackle. But they need an ace on the outside through the Titans. You know, Coach Saleh would like to look in that direction potentially. Let's talk about some of the possibilities here for the Titans. First, David Bailey. Right now, I have Bailey slotted to the Titans at number 4. Played at Stanford, high-profile transfer to Texas Tech. Had an excellent season for the Red Raiders. 6'3", 250. We'll get the official measurements either at the Combine or on the individual team days, but usually I'll show up at least for the measurements. With Bailey, he doesn't have as much size as some of the other top edge rushers, but he is a tremendous force. And pass rushing more than ever in the modern NFL, it keeps tilting every year more and more in favor of the passing game. That means you need elite passers, elite receivers, protection up front so your quarterback's got time, but also on defense, you got to be able to bring the pressure. If you start blitzing, you're going to have receivers open inevitably. So Bailey is one possibility for the Titans if they do go defense, with Coach Saleh getting set up here in Nashville. Now, if not Bailey, big fan of Ruben Bain Jr. Until the time that I made this profile, officially listed as a defensive lineman. I try to stick with what the official school listing is, but Bain is an edge rusher. You notice compared with Bailey at an estimated 250 pounds, Ruben Bain Jr., 275. I personally really like Bain as a fit for the Tennessee Titans because you can play him as what they say a 3-down defensive end, meaning he can be in on plays that are be more against the rush. He's got more size than Bailey does if you want to compare them. The knock on Bain is that he doesn't have the measurables that are in that ideal range. If you're using a top 5 pick on somebody, you want to make sure you're getting somebody really good. But with Bain, he brings a bulldog-like mentality and intensity. I think he would be tremendous for the Titans. I think he would be an excellent fit in Nashville if he ends up here. Now, there are a couple of other possibilities. Talk about Arvell Reese. I don't anticipate that Reese will be on the board. Most speculation as it is right now is that the New York Jets at number 2 overall will select Ohio State linebacker Arvell Reese. He's a unique player. Why in the world would an off-ball linebacker be the number 2 overall pick? Well, you don't understand. Reese can line up as an edge rusher. 245, so just 5 pounds off from that estimated listing for Bailey. And he's phenomenal as an edge rusher. We wouldn't be talking about Reese in this territory if he weren't. But you can also drop him back as a linebacker. You can drop him back as a defensive back if you need to. Look at Nick Imawari with the Seahawks. And we'll see how fast Reese runs. But, I mean, you just look at the tape from Ohio State, and the guy's a special player. Speaking of special players from Ohio State, if not Arvell Reese, there is one other consideration that I don't think will happen, but it's worth mentioning. Caleb Downs. Safety. Got the photo with the Rose Bowl. When they get I'll try and go for the nicer photos for some of the profiles once they get the more formal shots. You work with what you can with what's available from a licensing standpoint. Getty Images is tremendous. Work that in with DKDB and mockdraftnfl.com. Anyway, Downs, if he were to go to the Titans at 4, that would be the first time in 16 years for a safety, a pure safety, to go in the top 5 of the NFL draft. You have to go back to 2010 with Eric Berry in Kansas City for that. So Caleb Downs, you may hear it mentioned. Titans used a 3rd-round pick. They got now, part of the trading out of the spot where they could have had Nick Imawari, you end up with Winston, the safety. So I don't think the Titans are going to go with Downs, but he's a tremendous player. And he's going to make a big impact somewhere. So just going through possibilities there. Let's take a look here. The DKDB. It has been quite the week with the DKDB, which is my curated 2026 NFL mock draft database. We went through, talked about possibilities for the Tennessee Titans. A lot of excitement here in Nashville. Got that brand new stadium. It's going to be opening next year. And so we'll see what awaits with that. So now I want to go over a couple of newer mock drafts. One that just came out. I held off on recording this show. Some of the consultants were pushing. So you recorded it last night, Ludo. I wanted to wait for today and see, and hopefully, and we did, get one here. The Super Bowl's coming up on Sunday, so a lot of attention there, but we did get one. I was really hoping we would. We did. From Cynthia Freeland, NFL.com. So let's see what Cynthia has here. As you can see, published, of course, with the time zones. I never really know. You get that central time zone fan paranoia. Is that Eastern time or Central? Anyway, so let's see what Cynthia has here. This is her first mock draft of the 2026 NFL mock draft. My reaction to it here. Nashville Lou live to tape, repping the DKDB. I personally curated, expert-curated NFL mock draft database. I only put the best in there, and that includes Cynthia. So let's see what she has here. At number 1, it's going to be, of course, Fernando Mendoza, right? Yes, Fernando Mendoza. I like with the NFL.com, the pictures kind of pop into place. At least the way this is set up here. So Mendoza, the Raiders at 1. I urge you to go and visit NFL.com, read Cynthia's piece. She has explanations in here, and actually read these mock drafts that I react to here. At 2, Arvell Reese. Like I mentioned, you're going to see this more often than not, at least at this point, with Reese going to the Jets at 2. The way it's projected. The Jets, of course, also have a first-round pick at number 16. At 3, Arizona, Reuben Bain Jr. The thought with Arizona is that they might go offensive tackle. They have a need at right offensive tackle. They have a need at quarterback, but that's another matter. But here, Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com, Cynthia says Reuben Bain Jr. to the Cards at 3. And for the Titans, this is interesting that Cynthia has Spencer Fano. Now, on my mock, I've got Fano, the last update, Fano at 3. I've kind of got it flipped from somewhat flipped. Anyway, so the thought, though, because that is the thought, okay, if the Titans don't go with an edge rusher or wide receiver, the third most viable possibility, the way it looks right now, before free agency, would be offensive tackle. I don't think that's the move. I really don't. I hear from Titans fans. I live in the Nashville area. So I get to hear things from people. They give me their opinion. But the good news, if the Titans did go with Fano, he's a solid prospect. And so possibly Fano at 4. That's what Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com has. Number 5, this is really interesting to me. Jermod McCoy, corner, Tennessee Vols, did not play this last season. Suffered a torn ACL in January of last year. And the expectation is that McCoy will be able to make a full recovery and be able to work out and show that he's good to go. His 2024 season was excellent. So Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com says Jermod McCoy to the Giants at number 5. That's the earliest I've seen of any of like the serious mock drafts of McCoy going. I've got Mansour Delane going at 5, corner from LSU. So it makes sense. It's a need spot for the Giants. I think of what Daniel Jeremiah wrote, also of NFL.com, what he wrote in his 1.0 mock draft that I found rather convincing, saying that the Giants drafted Mansour Delane at the number 5 overall pick, he would instantly become the number 1 corner on that Giants team. But perhaps they have McCoy higher, and the distinct possibility they have a shot at both of them here if that's the decision at 5. At number 6, this is my reaction to the brand new mock draft. Cynthia Freeland, NFL.com. This is all part of the DKDB 2026. I'm Lou Pickney. I put my name on it. I'm very serious about it. I've got what I think is a fantastic group of mock drafts, major websites, people with proven track records, logical explanations. I even got the time now when I update this. Daily updates. So anyway, to continue with what Cynthia has, number 6, Carnell Tate to the Browns. The Browns also have the number 24 overall pick. Tate has this innate ability to get open in 3 seconds or less. The Browns could use an ace receiver. And so Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com says Carnell Tate to Cleveland at 6. At 7, Cynthia says David Bailey. So Bailey's still on the board. I've seen that trending a bit more for the Washington Commanders, that they would potentially go edge rusher here. I mean, we've seen that quite a bit already as far as speculation. Of course, this is all pre-free agency. This can all change considerably as far as team needs go. But Bailey, from a talent standpoint, you see it over and over. Bailey and Bain, Reese, as far as edge rushers, and Reese being a unique talent at linebacker that can do a lot of things. But anyway, Bailey at 7. Boy, does Washington should probably have a chance at one of those 3 at number 7. And so I've seen that start more and more. Not just what I'm thinking, but others. And so if Bain isn't there, and if Reese isn't there, perhaps Bailey at 7 to Washington. At number 8, New Orleans Saints, and Cynthia Freeland says Mansour Delane, corner, LSU Tigers, transfer from Virginia Tech. And his 1 year at LSU is not the best year for the Tigers down in Baton Rouge, but he had a fantastic season. And it's interesting seeing Delane up here at number 8 to the Saints. There's been a lot of talk with the Saints. Might they go with Jeremiah Love, running back? Might they go with a receiver, edge rusher if one's there? But here Cynthia Freeland says Mansour Delane, Saints at 8. At 9, Francis Mauigoa to the Chiefs. A lot of different thoughts of what the Chiefs might do. Their first time in a long time with a pick in the top 10. Mauigoa is on nearly every list as one of the top offensive tackles. Right up there with Spencer Fano, the way it looks right now. So, with Mauigoa on the board, that's what Cynthia Freeland says the Chiefs will do at 9 in her first mock draft. This 2026 cycle. Number 10, Cincinnati Bengals. Caleb Downs matches what I have. If Downs goes top 10, he'd be the first safety taken in the top 10 of the NFL draft in 10 years. It seems more likely than not it'll happen. Certainly not a given. At 11, Miami Dolphins going with Vega. So Vega up at number 11. As far as interior offensive linemen, I'm a big fan of him personally. I mean, I don't know him personally, but as far as his ability as a guard, he looks to be the best of the bunch as far as that goes. And here, Cynthia Freeland has Vega to the Miami Dolphins at number 11. Number 12, Sonny Styles, Dallas Cowboys. Matches what I have. Cowboys have the number 20 pick, but I don't know. It would be such a risk because Styles is highly thought of. He's a unique, much like Reese. How did Ohio State get all these uniquely amazing players on their defense? That's how they won the national championship season before last, at least in part. But Sonny Styles, a safety that transitioned to linebacker, but he's kind of a hybrid. And he's going to be very fun to watch in the NFL. Dallas needs a linebacker and Sonny Styles, again, his ability to play safety if need be, give some flexibility. So Styles to the Cowboys at 12. At number 13, Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com has Avion Terrell. It's a little bit higher than what I've seen with Terrell. Some of these corners going higher. Notice that a few of these from NFL.com, some of these mock drafts, just a few of the analysts there seem to have some of these corners going just a little higher. This is not talking like the difference between 13 and 16 or 13 and 18. But typically, when you're seeing corners matched up with the Rams here, it's not necessarily Terrell. But if they're not on the board, then perhaps Avion Terrell from Clemson at 13. At 14, Cassius Howell. 11.5 sacks last season. Let me say that again. 11.5 sacks. Not to just say that, just, oh, by the way. A tremendous performance last season for Texas A&M. Edge rusher. Much like Reuben Bain Jr., the knock on Howell is that his measurables aren't prototype. But when you have the kind of production he had against SEC caliber competition, you're going to get plenty of looks. And Cynthia Freeland says at number 14, Baltimore takes Cassius Howell. Number 15, Colton Hood to the Buccaneers. There's been a lot of thought that the Bucs would take Sonny Styles if he were on the board here, but with Styles gone at 12 to Dallas instead, these corners going quick here. Colton Hood, who had to really step up this past season for the Tennessee Vols with Jermod McCoy out with that torn ACL. So Hood, Tampa Bay at 15. At 16, Cynthia has Mekhi Lemon. I like that more and more. I mean, Lemon, he had one drop total last season. Talk about Cardinal Tate, and he is an outstanding receiver. Great hands. But Lemon as well, great hands, and that guy can go. I think he's going to impress people in his work. He's already impressed people. They can see the tape. He played at USC. It wasn't like it was a mystery. But I think more and more in this draft process, Lemon's going to get talk in the upper half of the first round, and that's what Cynthia Freeland has here at 18, Jets going Mekhi Lemon. This is my reaction. Latest DKDB 2026 mock draft database update. My reaction to the first mock draft of this cycle for Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com. Cynthia at number 17 has Caden Proctor going to the Lions. I've seen that a few places. I like that. Proctor could play tackle. He's athletic enough, even at 6'7", 366. To play guard, which is unheard of, but he could do it potentially, and there's a lot of thought he will, depending on where he goes. But here it's Proctor to the Lions at 17. Number 18, Brandon Cisse. He's going to impress people with his workouts. All indications. That's the anticipation, at least. And Minnesota has a major need at corner. Cisse would certainly help to alleviate that if what Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com projects happens here at 18. At 19, Carolina Panthers, Keldrick Falk. Quite a few people are saying Panthers maybe looking to go edge rusher. Expecting that last year in the first round. It didn't happen. Keep waiting that for the Panthers. Maybe this will be the year Falk is on the board at 19. At 20, Dallas, remember in this from Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com, Cynthia has Dallas taking Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State at 12, and then back on the board here at 20. TJ Parker, edge, Clemson. He was in the top 10 of my early mocks, like before the season began. Clemson had a down year relative to their major success they've had in recent seasons, but Parker really impressed people down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, at a place where everybody's trying to stand out, and there's a lot of talent there. Parker really looked good. And he might not be on the board for Dallas at 20. There's a lot of edge talent in this draft. At 21, so here's Jeremiah Love. This is interesting. Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com. This is the lowest I've seen Love in a while as far as the projected spot on a mock draft. And so, because again, running back is not the position, it's not the position it once was in the NFL. The days of 3 running backs going in the top 5, which has happened in the DKDB era, going way back 2005. Those days are gone. But Jeremiah Love's a special talent, and like any running back that's going to go in the first round in the modern NFL, he's excellent as a receiver. You've got to be great at that if you're going to get a premium pick used on you. So Pittsburgh, they need a quarterback. Maybe can Aaron Rodgers, can they talk him back? Maybe. You need receivers, defensive tackle. maybe. Offensive tackle, maybe. Jeremiah Love, maybe, at 21. At 22, Jordan Tyson. This is interesting. You'll notice with some mocks that Jordan Tyson will go top 8, top 10, but inevitably there will be players that are going to slide a bit. And Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com says Jordan Tyson going to the LA Chargers at number 22 overall. At 23, Kenyon Sadiq to the Eagles. I mentioned this in my last show. Eagles fans online, it's a relatively small sample size, but talking on Reddit, you get some passionate fans, but some knowledgeable fans, at least usually on Reddit, at least the passionate part. But the Eagles fans that were on there were saying they don't want a receiver here at 23, they don't go receiver, but if you get a tight end, if it's Kenyon Sadiq, then make it Sadiq and draft him there at 23. One of several options for the Eagles there. At 24, Cleveland goes Caleb Lomu. Utah, offensive tackle, a young player. I like the fit of Lomu with the Browns. If the Browns go with a receiver at 6, you come back at 24. And then if it's not Lomu, then perhaps one of the other offensive tackles in this range. So here, Cynthia Freeland, NFL.com, says Cleveland takes Caleb Lomu at 24. This is my reaction to it here. Lou Pickney, Nashville Lou live to tape, repping the DKDB. The very best as far as the curated 2026 NFL mock draft database. I keep this thing updated. Anyway, so I'll continue with my reaction here to the first mock of this draft cycle for Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com. At number 25, Chicago. A lot of different directions that the Bears could take, but one possibility is safety. And Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Lots of talk has really been picking up that McNeil-Warren be going into probably the second half of the first round, if he were to go in the first. But more and more looking like a distinct possibility. Caleb Downs, a special case up there as the first safety. But McNeil-Warren, more often than not, I'm seeing EMW mentioned as a distinct possibility, not only be the second safety drafted, but to be taken on night 1. 26, Cynthia has Denzel Boston to the Bills. The Bills need help at receiver. Boston's got that great size. Standout Washington Huskies. He's 6'4". I'm going to say 6'4". He's got the size. 27, 49ers. Cynthia Freeland says KC Concepcion to the 49ers at 27. Number 28, great receiver, to brush it off too much, just saying, if the Niners want to go receiver, any of these teams looking receiver in this range, there'll be a bunch of options, the way it looks now. 28, Houston Texans, and Cynthia says Blake Miller to the Texans. There's been talk that the Texans might want to go with an interior offensive lineman here, but perhaps they'll go with Miller playing right tackle. That's what Cynthia says in her first mock of this 2026 draft cycle. At 29, Monroe Freeland. I've seen a lot of that Freeland going late first round. So the Rams, if the Rams go corner at 13, that frees them up with a few different options here. And so it'll be Freeland going to the Rams at 29, 30. I really like this. I'm seeing this more and more. If the Broncos don't go on with an offensive player here at 30, if he's on the board, C.J. Allen, linebacker, Georgia Bulldogs, off-ball linebacker, could really give a boost to that Denver defense. At 31, this is interesting. Cynthia says Caleb Banks to the New England Patriots. Banks got some people's attention down in Mobile, and he didn't get to play much this past season. He was dealing with injuries. Of course, that's a concern. But when he's healthy, Banks is a special player. He's got the great size and that athleticism to go with it. If he's on the board, it's funny how almost all the mock drafts presume the Super Bowl's this Sunday. We'll see. And if Seattle ends up losing, then they would be at 31 and New England would be at 32. For the record. And then finally, 32, Seattle Seahawks, Emmanuel Pregnon. So again, last year, the Gray Zabel leak from Seattle. Of course, with leaks, you have to know who to believe and what to believe. It came true. So I don't know. Seattle going with another guard in the first round. Hey, look, you win the Super Bowl. You do whatever you want, I guess. Anyway, that's what Cynthia Freeland has at 32, and that's my reaction to the first mock draft for the 2026 draft from Cynthia Freeland of NFL.com. One more. I'm going to drop down just a little bit because it was a late ad before the last show. I want to go over what Ben Standig has, the Last Man Standing website. I want to react to what he has here. So my reaction to the mock draft as of February 2nd, just a few days ago. And this has mostly been just getting ready for the Super Bowl week for a lot of people. But I really like what Ben Standig has here. Glad to make sure his mock had that represented in the DKDB. Just look it up, DKDB mock or Lou. Things are looking so good with this. For a rebrand that is very new. Oh my goodness. Good times. Anyways, let's see what Ben has here in his first mock draft of 2026. I urge you to, and I'll have this in the description section of this YouTube video. This is for the Mock Draft NFL channel on YouTube. But I'll link to it. Go to the site. Read what he has. So at 1, Forrest Mendoza to the Raiders. Arvell Reese to the Jets at 2. That's what I was saying. That's as expected. You're going to have Reese going there. In most mocks you're going to see at this point. Spencer Fano to the Cardinals. David Bailey of the Titans. So far, 4 for 4. Ben and I thinking the same. At 5, a little bit different here. And I've seen this quite a bit. If the Giants don't go with a corner, and some think, well, corner really isn't. If you look at the value for the spot, if you rank the corners down like 13, 14, 15, then maybe you stick here if you think that Mamagoa is better as far as the best overall player. Different philosophies with that, of course. But here, Standig says, Mamagoa to the Giants. My reaction to the first mock draft of this, I'll scroll down. Ben Standig of Last Man Standing. Number 6, Carnell Tape. Seen a lot of that tape to the Browns. Even coming out of Mobile, that was a lot of talk. That was a distinct possibility there if Tate's on the board. At 7, Bain to the Commanders. Ben and I thinking alike here a lot of this early. The way it is now in my mock, of course, these things always have a way of changing. This is what I've seen more and more. Mekhi Lemon to the Saints at 8. And then at 9, Jeremiah Love to the Chiefs. If Love's available, I think that makes a lot of sense. It may depend who's on the board as far as those edge rushers. If you get a blue chip edge rusher, maybe it's different. At 10, here's another one saying Caleb Downs to the Bengals. I've got it. Cynthia in her first mock had it. And here, Ben Standig of Last Man Standing says Caleb Downs to the Bengals. At 11, Ben has the Dolphins taking Kenyon Sadiq. Seen that a few places. The Dolphins don't go with a need at corner here. And this would reflect an outlook of saying, okay, the corners really are more below the top 12 as far as the overall best player available if you want to look at it that way. But these teams have some serious needs, at least at corner. And Miami's one of them, at least the way it is now. 12, Dallas, Sonny Styles matches what Cynthia had, what I have, at least to this point. It makes all the sense in the world. So that would be for Dallas. At 13, Mansour Delane. A lot of talk the Rams if you don't go with a receiver here, like Mekhi Lemon. If you don't do that, then corner. Strong possibility. Mansour Delane. Nice pickup if he's there. At 14, Vega to the Ravens. Seen that quite a bit. As much as I like Vega as a match with the Chargers at 22. Interior offensive line. But we'll see what happens with Baltimore in free agency. This is my reaction to the first 2026 NFL mock draft from Ben Standig of Last Man Standing. Nashville live to tape. Repping the DKDB. I personally curated, I should say. Word, curated. 15, Buccaneers, Jermod McCoy. Think about how high McCoy was slated in Cynthia's mock. Here, Ben's got McCoy at 15 for the Buccaneers. Nice pickup for Tampa Bay at 16. Jordan Tyson to the Jets. A lot of thought the Jets would go receiver at 16. 17, Keldrick Falk to to the Lions. I can see that. They need to do something with that defense. They've been snake-bitten the last 2 years with injuries. They need some help up front. Hutchinson's great, but he can't do it by himself. Emmanuel McNeil-Ward to the Vikings at 18. I think keep a close eye on what happens with Harrison Smith. The indications are there that Harrison Smith might be hanging it up, like retiring, and so McNeil-Ward here at 18 in Ben Standig's first 2026 NFL mock draft. Carolina, get a lot of variety with Carolina picks. Here the projection, Carolina goes with Caleb Lomu at 20. Dallas gets Colton Hood at number 20. So Dallas goes Sonny Styles at 12. Back on the board at 20. Instead of going with an edge rusher, maybe they don't like the selection that's there at this point. Instead they go a lot of Colton Hood top 20. That seems to be trending that way. 21, Avion Terrell. It's a little bit of variance, but you see all these corners go into this mid-first round range here from the way that Ben Standig has his first 2026 NFL mock draft. This is my reaction to it here. I'm Lou Pickney. Nashville Lou live to tape. 22, Peter Woods to the LA Chargers. Woods, an outstanding defensive tackle. Really good as pass rushing. If you believe he's strong enough against the run inside, then you have a real winner there with Woods. 23, Cassius Howe to the Eagles. Defensive end, edge rusher has been talked about as a possibility for Philly at 23. 24, Cleveland Browns. If they go with Carnell Tate at 6, they come back at 24. And we've seen several that I've reacted to here on stream have played it out this way, and it makes sense. Caden Proctor, he's going to play tackle, he's going to play guard. He's the largest offensive lineman of the top-tier guys in the bunch. Unusually athletic for that massive size. 25, Lee Hunter. Chicago Bears, more and more talk that Hunter could play his way into the first round, and the whole gauntlet these players go through, the drills, etc. But Hunter, a big part of that great Texas Tech team this past season. A lot of talk the Bears could go tackle, defensive tackle at 25. 26, Buffalo Bills, TJ Parker. If he's there, more and more it's looking like Parker's moving up. He's getting that momentum coming out of Mobile. But here he's on the board. And Ben Standig, of last man standing, as the Bills going TJ Parker, 26, 27, 49ers, Denzel Boston. So Boston on the board here for the 49ers all the way at number 27. There's all these corners and receivers going in this range here. And, of course, offensive tackles. Monroe Freeland. Another thought Freeland could go to the Houston Texans at 28. At 29, here's Ty Simpson. And the question, of course, is if you're willing to use a first-round pick on a quarterback, would you pass on him once? Would you take that chance he would just slide if you feel that strongly about him? Think of the Rams at 13 and then at 29. But here, Ben Standig says, Ty Simpson, Alabama, LA Rams. Number 30, talking before, CJ Allen to the Broncos. The more I see that, the more I think that makes a lot of sense. If he's there, I mean, Allen could be gone to Buffalo or someone else above there, but if he's there, nice pickup for Denver. 31, New England Patriots, Caden McDonald, defensive tackle, 8.5 sacks or tackles for loss for Ohio State this past season. His tackles behind the line of scrimmage for a defensive tackle. When you've got that kind of athleticism and you're not just selling out your position to do it, you've got talent that's going to get first-round looks. And then finally at 32, Brandon Cisse still on the board. So Cisse going to Seattle at 32. And so that's my reaction. The first 2026 NFL mock draft, the first one of this cycle for Ben Standig of Last Man Standing. So I'm very excited about DKDB. We got so many great mock drafts in here for you. The fun has just begun with this. I cannot wait to see what's up next. That's it for this broadcast. I'm your host, Lou Pickney. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the DKDB. Make sure you bookmark the page. Check it frequently. I'll be updating it. I'll show you to the minute when it was updated. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Bye for now.